Well, another campaign trail controversy this evening. This one involves Ohio Governor John Kasich and fallout from remarks he made earlier today that when he first ran for office back in 1978, women actually left their kitchens to campaign for him. Watch.
How did I get elected? I didn't have anybody for me. We just got an army of people who, and many women who left their kitchens to go out and go door to door and to put yard signs up for me all the way back when, you know, things were different.
First off, I want to say your comment earlier about the women came out of the kitchen to support you. I'll come to support you, but I won't be coming out of the kitchen.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
Joining me now, Republican candidate for president and governor of Ohio, John Kasich. Governor, great to see you. I can certainly say that if it were my husband, he'd say, for the love of God, get out of the kitchen. No one wants you in here. You do bad things in here.
Look, here's the thing. You know, back when I started, we used to do these town halls, but they were held in homes. They were called coffees. And we did some at the breakfast table and some we did, you know, in the living room. And I have to tell you that there's no question a large part of my career was fueled by women who decided to join the effort and help me to get elected. But, you know, let's be real about this. You know, my campaign manager is a woman. She used to be my chief of staff, and if I'm president, who knows, she'll have one of the highest positions in the country. I have a lieutenant governor who's a woman. You know, the situation is I appointed a lady to the Ohio Supreme Court, you know, obviously a woman. And I have a number of very influential women cabinet members.
Just so the viewers are aware, back in 1978, when you first ran for office, 70% of women were not working out of the home full-time. They just weren't. The vast majority of women were at home in that year full-time, and things have changed a lot since then. I assume you know that.
You know, Megan,
yeah,
I operate, you know, I operate on the high wire. I don't use a net. I'm not scripted. I don't have a teleprompter. And every once in a while you say something and, you know, maybe you didn't say it exactly the way you should. But, look, I'm not going to change that. We've had a teleprompter and scripted candidates and presidents. It's time to move on and be real.
Listen, as somebody who has said many stupid things on the air, I can relate. I understand. I think you get a pass on a couple. You know, consistently, then people have to look at you. But
I got you.
We haven't heard that many.
Exactly.
All right. So let's talk about campaign 2016, because after South Carolina, the conventional wisdom is, oh, well, the pressure's on Governor Kasich and Ben Carson to get out now because the, quote, establishment has consolidated around Marco Rubio. And I look at the campaign headlines, or the headlines on the campaign trail today. National Review, hard for us to see what legitimate purpose is served by either of them staying in. Red State, for the sake of the country, get out of the race, you and Carson. Jeb Bush showed leadership by getting out. Do the same thing, and on it goes. To them, you say what?
Well, this sounds like a bunch of Washington insiders, Megan. Look, they didn't think I'd get in the race. Nobody thought that I would raise the money. Nobody thought I could do well in New Hampshire, and I did, and never expected to do that great in South Carolina, as I told you. But we do expect. Look, I had 1,000 people tonight here in Richmond. I had over 1,000 people earlier at George Mason. We have people joining the campaign who are fundraisers, some of whom raised money for Jeb Bush. We have our political team is expanding. And I'm not going to listen to a bunch of lobbyists, insiders. I never have. I'm an independent person. And frankly, for the first time in this campaign, my message is starting to be heard. And that's why we're getting crowds. So everybody else, just sit back. I really don't have a lot of interest in what these people have to say. I have people that come to me and say, we need you to stay in. You're hope for us. And that's what we're going to do. We'll see where it goes. Don't count me out, Megan.
I'm not counting anything. Let me ask you whether some people are speculating, and one could even argue in some instances salivating over the prospect of a Rubio-Kasich ticket. Is that something you would even consider?
Well, if you reversed it, if it was a Kasich-Rubio ticket.
Well, that's obvious, but what about the way I asked it?
Look, no, Megan, I don't run for second place, and let me explain to you. I'm beating Hillary Clinton by 11 points, more than any other Republican in the race, according to USA Today. I'm now tied for third in the national polls. Look, I've always made the establishment nervous because I don't take orders from them, from K Street or a bunch of lobbyists sitting up at the top of some hotel. I've shaken the system up the entire time I've been in politics. And look, I've spent very little money. Some of these folks have spent $50 million. I've spent like $5, you know, and we're doing just fine.
Last question. You have an ad out today that sort of parlays off of that extraordinary moment you had with that young man on the campaign trail in South Carolina. Watch.
Being president is more than the economy or health care.
I was in a really dark place for a long time, but I found hope, and now I've found it in my presidential candidate that I support, and I'd really appreciate one of those hugs you've been talking about.
There is a place for quiet strength, the Oval Office.
New Day for America is responsible for the content of this advertising.
That was the PAC, not you, but that was narrated by Tim Allen, the comedian. He was on the Kelly File last week saying how much he liked you. How much do you think, how much of an impact do you think that hug had on your campaign?
Well, my immediate reaction in hearing about that ad is I don't like it.
Why not?
That was a look, because I just don't like that. I think it spoke for itself, and look, I'm not going to yell at my people who are, you know, I'm not even connected to go take something off the air, but I'm not comfortable with that. Look, a woman tonight talked about 5 suicides in her family. Earlier today, a lady came and talked to me and hugged me and told me about an autistic child, an adult child, and a 16-year-old that has a mental illness. If I can be able to touch people and have them safe to come and talk about things they care about, that's great. But I'm just uncomfortable. Something strikes me wrong about it. I haven't thought about it, Megan. But, I mean, what can I say? All I can tell you is this. This country is going to work best when we have leaders in Washington and when where we live in our own communities that we put things together and strengthen things and not wait for somebody to come in and try to straighten out our schools or our neighborhoods. We need to do it ourselves. So anyway, it was a precious moment, but they've been happening for 6 months. And that sort of longing is why you stay in this race, and I'm excited about the future here.
Great to see you, Governor.
Thanks, Megan.